Welcome to Flesh and Pod, a flesh and blood podcast, breaking down weekly news and notes from the tournament scene, community drama, game strategy, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Darick and Logan.
Hello, and welcome to episode 174 of Flesh and Pod. We are audio only this week, as Darick Oswald, my brother in Christ, has decided to not have functional internet, and his phone is currently his internet.
But
Oops.
I made it work, so.
You did. I'm proud of you for that. I very much so am. But you know what would make me more proud? You know what it is, Darick?
Yeah, you're really excited to hear about what I did for Monroe's birthday on Wednesday.
You're 100% correct. I am very excited to hear about you not playing Flesh and Blood.
So this was my fault. I was not looking at a calendar. I was all ready to go. So one, thank you, Greg. He did message me the night before about sleeving stuff up, and I was like, Greg, I haven't even been home. He's like, why not? And I was like, well, it's Monroe's birthday tomorrow, and he really wanted a cat, so we were out like looking at adoption shelters today, and then the next day we had like it's his birthday, right? Like we had a celebration stuff. I just completely, like, I knew it was coming. It's not like it was, a surprise.
I hope you knew it was coming. I mean, Christ.
Yeah, I just wasn't looking at a calendar. Like, in my mind, this is going to sound really bad. Things have been so just like chaotic, but also fast paced lately, especially at work. The calendar and me are just like not jiving mentally. Like, in my head, it's still the beginning of March, and today, as we record this, it is the final day of March.
Last day of March, yeah.
Like
100%.
in my brain, if I were to not, if somebody were like, "What's today?" I'd be like, I don't know, like the 11th, right? Like that's where I am mentally, and it's just not. So like,
no,
it's just same thing. Like if I'm not actively looking at the calendar, and as you know, when I do have video going, I don't even often have the right calendar behind me. So.
No, you sure don't. It is frequently the wrong fucking month.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That's at least I'm not disappointed.
He did have a great time. I don't post a lot of stuff to TikTok, but if you follow me on TikTok, my wife made a cute little thing because we did like a choose your own adventure thing for him. And I reposted it on there.
That's cool.
And it was fun.
Did you get him a cat?
We did get a new cat. Well, rescued a new cat. We always rescue from shelters. So
sure.
Her name is Aura. She's a gray cat. She is adjusting pretty well. Has not been given full reign of the house yet, but
it's coming.
Yeah. It's mostly just like making sure she integrates well with the other cats more than anything else. Like, she's fine. She's great.
Yeah. Well, this weekend I played in Battlehard in Milwaukee and teamed up with one of our patrons, Brandon, and then another Madison player named John. I had a blast. Great teammates, ton of fun. Our results weren't great. I think that it was an 8-rounder, I believe, and we dropped. We were dead at 4-3. So for a team that is Aurora, Victor, Syndra, not so bad. There were some epically funny moments throughout the event. Brandon on Victor getting paired into a new who proceeded to. And Brandon, if you're listening, you should post the photos you took in Discord. But his opponent proceeded to play all 3 of his gold main estates. Whoops. And made 3 gold, made some mites, attacked with like a disable, and then the next turn I was able to give the cranial crush, I believe, in his banish go again. I mean, it was just fucking brutal.
I mean, I want to feel bad, but like, I've been the new player doing that to a Victor before, so
it's mean. And then with it was funny because in that same matchup, like I sit down with Syndra and my opponent goes, I'm playing Riptide. I'm like, well, fuck. That's bad. I have some ideas about how I can potentially win this match. So I guess we play to the outs. And the outs were deal 27 damage with flick knives.
Okay.
That was the out. And it worked. If I remember, I remembered as I was like boarding into it, I'm like, okay, if my math is mathing, I need 63 cards in deck. Otherwise, I'm going to fatigue when I'm trying to like win off of the back of flick knives. So I just need to board in something. So I'm like, well, if they play 0 cost arrows, let's board it in wax-ons. And it's like, well, good enough, I guess. And worked out. Shit. Then proceeded in my seat to get dumpstered by Aurora twice. Turns out winning the die roll in that matchup's kind of important.
A little bit.
Yeah. And so we had a great time playing in that event. Played in the ProQuest Plus. I did not finish great. Round 1 was a Verdance that took me to the woodshed, Victor Mercado. So incredibly good player. The next round was an Aurora Mirror where I was trying to do some different shit, and the different shit I was doing wasn't good. So I bricked and my opponent bricked less. So we died. Then got bodied by a Vincent because that matchup is hard, especially again if you're doing funky shit and it doesn't really line up. And then got Pacify and got I believe by allocated. And then good friend Summer decided to read in the ledger the fuck out of me. There's not much that Aurora does at that point. If they're, especially with these newer builds that are not as as resilient to it.
I just want to hear more about this friendly fire from Summer.
Oh, she friendly fired. She just, at one turn, she was just like, she kind of figured out that I couldn't block for shit that turn, which was true. And she's like, this will be fun. Remorseless for 8, Snappy's Remorseless for 8. So now there's double Remorseless active. Like, cool.
You said you were on Aurora, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me see if I can put myself in her shoes. The way that she figured out that you couldn't like block for shit that turn was that you were playing Aurora.
Correct. Yes. The calculus was fairly easy.
Yeah.
But there are like instances where Aurora blocks okay. It just wasn't that turn. So, and most turns it's not, honestly. But yeah, overall had a good time. I learned a ton. So I've been working on what I would think is a much better build of Aurora tonight, and I'm in a better spot with that deck going into London if that's my choice. I got blasted by a Fang because they hit fealty on turn 0.
Ooh, 0. Turn 0.
0. And I was like,
how?
I pitched a blue, attack with dagger, pledge fealty to give it go again and create a fealty. Attack again, double Endear Devotion.
Yeah,
or the 0 cost one that makes a fealty. I don't think that's not
right.
Endear Devotion. That's I don't remember the name of it, but that one, their hand was rolled the fuck up. Yeah, because it was a blue and 3 fealty enablers. One of them that doesn't need to be on the second chain link. So when they passed the turn back to me, they had 3 fealty. Like, I can't stress their hand enough for them to give a shit this turn. They're just going to be able to do whatever the fuck they want. And yeah, I couldn't. I got them down, I think, to like 11 though, which kind of felt like a moral victory. But turn 0 fealty cap, you're fucking dead. There's just no you're dead. Unless you have a way to blow up the fealty, you're dead.
Was the 0 cost one, was it a reaction or was it an attack?
It's a reaction. If it's a second chain link or higher, it creates fealty.
Because Endear is the one that costs 1. You said it costs 0.
Yeah, hold on. I know which one it is.
So it's Affirm.
Affirm, that's it. Yep.
Yeah. Affirm loyalty. So this is going to sound weird. I remember A for attack reaction, because the other one is an attack that is running Syndra, not Fang, because it's the ninja one. That's the display.
Right. Yep.
Loyalty. They both have loyalty in the name.
Yes. But yeah, it's Affirm loyalty.
So you got pledged and double affirmed. That's insane.
And yeah, with one of the 8 blues in hand. Mm-hmm. They also made a vigor. Because why not?
Because they gave you a vigorous thrashing.
They sure did. That was the definition of I can do fuck all at this point.
There should be allowed a rule where, if you want, as the receiving player of a thrashing, you should be allowed to offer to create a token as a response, like for your opponent, and then, so that it can't be abused. They also then have to accept it in case they think you're trying to set up down but not out or something. But I just think it would be kind of neat for situations like that where you're just like, you know what, I think you deserve a vigor token. Right.
They can just give you one out of pity.
Yeah, because why not?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they could have given me entire turns of. They did actually. They did give me entire turns of multiple of them of channel of CLV draws. Didn't matter. Like, can't do anything. Just gonna die. But I am much happier with where I'm at with that deck now. Although, like, Fang is still on the radar for me because it's just gambling, and I really enjoy that. But I think if I was down to 2 decks, if I was going to say, gun to my head, pick 2 decks that you're between, it's probably those 2. Syndra felt like it had game into a lot of things, but one of those things didn't feel like Aurora. So if that's the case, I don't think you can play a deck that can't play into Aurora or plays poorly into Aurora. There's very few decks that are favored into Aurora, but there are plenty that can play up to Aurora. By plenty, I mean like 4 or 5. So I think you have to be playing one of those or playing Aurora. That's kind of where I'm at with this. But let's talk about Battle Hard Milwaukee. It was won by, one of the things we did end up eating incredible Thai food. So there's a place in Milwaukee called King and I. It's a Thai restaurant that's just right by the convention center. I'd been there before, so I took, we went out with Brandon and Dagan to that place, and that place is still gas. Like, so if you're in Milwaukee and you want Thai food, you go there. It's fucking delicious. Just PSA.
I have great news on a personal note.
Did you get Thai food?
Do you remember the last time I talked to you and I was like, dude, we found this place when we were out by Detroit, and it was so good. I can't wait to eat the leftovers, even though I just finished eating. The same family that owns one in a suburb of, like, just outside of Lansing. It's like 20 minutes from my house.
Oh, perfect.
So Sophie brought me some today.
Oh,
because Monroe, when he does his eye therapy, has to go out in that direction. So it's like a 5-minute jaunt over.
Right.
And it was delightful. This time, however, the only sad part is there were no leftovers for me to eat tomorrow because they didn't make it.
I mean, that happens.
Yeah, I just I'm gonna have a problem. I think the place is so good.
I mean, sometimes, man, that's what it turns into. But yeah, let's talk about Battle Hard of Milwaukee. It was a team event, so results aren't exactly what's the word? Relevance wrong, but indicative of the environment necessarily. However, it was won by the team of Shane on Aurora, Naib on Zen, and Jonathan on Verdance. So I would expect all 3 of those decks in London in some form or fashion. Well, unless we'll talk about this later, unless Zen's not around. Because in the ProQuest Plus, that was that week, that was also on this weekend on Sunday, was won by Luke Magnuson on Arachne Slip Through the Cracks. So that one was a little different. And it was a bit of a murderer's row of a ProQuest Plus too. So
Well, yeah, because there, Battle Hardened being the team event on day one means that there are no people who are still playing like in the larger event in day two, right? So a lot of times with these, if it's like calling into a Battle Hardened or whatever, you just don't have the same field in that second day because not saying that there's not, good players that don't make it, but like the idea or the argument is, oh, well, all the good players are still playing day two, even though, obviously that's not always the case. But yeah, so your murderer's row is going to be there for something like this because that's the only real practice they're going to get ahead of Pro Tour at, that weekend's event anyway, right? Yeah.
And there were names in this top 8. I mean, Victor Mercado was in the top 8. Andrew Rothermel was in the top 8. Who else was in there that I know of? Noah Bagelman, I believe, was in the top 8. Like, Jesus fuck. And then Luke Magnuson won on Arachne Slip Through the Cracks. So that's very interesting. One of the things I did notice, and not just because I was playing Aurora, but like Dagan White was playing Aurora and he did not have a good event, was that, and granted, my first 2-round opponents were both in the top 8 at the end of the event. So it's not, I'm not too upset when it comes to that, especially with how close the Aurora mirror was. But the room was very tuned to beat Aurora. And I, outside of, your random people playing their kind of pet decks, which wasn't too many, honestly, the room was very hell bent on beating Aurora. So Verdance, Florian, Enigma, even it's Arachne Slippy gives Aurora some problems if they just have the right form or fashion of disruption. So it was hostile for Auroras, but 2 still made it through. Which is a testament to how good the deck is. But I would kind of expect a little bit of the same in London. Mainly because it's kind of just known that it's very good. Now, if I suddenly thought that the axis would tilt a bit and Enigma would pick up the shares to be the most popular deck, I would just switch back to Syndra, like immediately. But I don't think that'll be the case. However, we do have some events coming, and we'll talk about those shortly. Anything you want to add to the weekend in Milwaukee outside of you not being there for some reason?
Yeah, I mean, I missed you.
I missed you too. I wish you were there. I won't see you again for a while, I think. But well, actually, we'll get to that. News today. So nice that we're recording on a Monday. But there's now a deck builder, an official one on the mothership, which is fantastic, by the way. So now there's a deck builder in your gem profile, so you can go in and build decks within gem. And better is that they did partner with Fabrary, because fucking everybody uses Fabrary. Like, let's just out in the open, everybody uses Fabrary. But they definitely put a plugin there so that you can import directly from Fabrary. So you can still have all your decks built and then like, yep, this is what I'm playing, and then import it into your gem profile. And best yet, as somebody that does TO events on a non-zero basis, you can submit your deck online through Gem now. Thank fucking God.
Yeah, that's as somebody who doesn't have like a printer that I want to use, and always like takes PDFs to the events I go, and then just ask people like, can I email this to you? Do you have a way to print this? Whatever, because I just don't like want to swing through the library on the way there or whatever. Yeah, I'm very happy about this.
Yeah, and as a TO and somebody that does deck checks for local events, some of y'all need to work on your fucking handwriting. And I mean work on your handwriting. It's shit. It's beyond shit. It is illegible fucking messes. And now you don't have to do that to me. I can just grab your list off of Gem and print it to run the deck check. Do you know how much easier that is for me? It's much easier. That's the answer. It's much easier.
Magnitude's easier?
Magnitude's easier. Magnitude. Every time I hear that, I just think of Community and Magnitude, the guy that just goes pop, pop. So
Pop, pop,
pop, pop. Yeah, man, I'm gonna go back and watch Community. Like, it's time for a Community rewatch. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the Cena Cody promo before we started recording. Fuck, you really have been going through it.
Well, you
haven't watched it.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, we'll probably actually have to like talk later after you can watch it then. Right. Because it's pretty good. I had some jaw droppers in there that I'm surprised were a thing. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Like I haven't seen any of it. I mean, like, I'm excited to see that, but as a massive Sky fan, like, I'm still waiting to see the results of that one too.
Yeah. Okay. I won't comment. So yeah, any other thoughts on the deck builder? Because I'm super excited that this exists, honestly.
I just gotta be honest, I just wasn't expecting it. I saw, like, when I got done working, I checked my feed. I don't know, it's like 5 minutes after 5 p.m. Eastern, and I look, and it had posted like 40 seconds ago, hey, we have a deck builder now. And I'm like, oh,
hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. What do you mean you didn't expect it?
I didn't expect it.
Josh Scott sat on this show and told us it was coming.
Sure. Do you understand in the gaming space how often I have heard this thing is coming and then it takes like so long that you forget about it or just doesn't show up at all or whatever?
Only
like,
things that I buy on Kickstarter.
No. Dude, we got a deck builder for Flesh and Blood through Gem before we got GTA 6. That's all I'm saying. Like and
that's true.
And listen, as good as that joke is, at least we're gonna like maybe get GTA 6 before we even get the next trailer for Elder Scrolls 6. Because you remember when that was a thing?
Yeah.
Right. So
or Fallout 5.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is yeah, I know they said it, but it was like he said it, and then I guess in my mind I just would have expected like another update closer to release saying like, hey, I know we mentioned this in the past, but it's coming or whatever. But it was just like, here you go, it's out there. Like, that's what I mean by I didn't expect it. It was just not on a random Monday afternoon what I expected to see the moment I opened my feed.
Right. And that makes sense.
But as a player, I love it. I adore it. I wish every card game company would do it, but I have to give their flowers and their kudos. We say time and time again, competitive play is the bread and butter of Flesh and Blood. It is tied to the identity and the legacy of the game, just full stop. That's the same reason why last week we were talking about the impact of getting to run cash prizing events in Germany, right? Because they care about their competition. This is just another way you prove it, right? The best way that you can make the competitive submission process easier is to have an official avenue to do so instead of relying on third-party software, third-party whatever, you know, having the paper stuff available at events. Like, I'm sure that, you know, there will still be paper deck lists that have to be managed and whatever, but again, just for the judges involved, for the players involved, for your after event tournament results, for your live coverage, right? Having having a digital presence, and because it's built in their thing, also, you know, I'm hoping as somebody who works on back ends of stuff like this, hoping that means that the data submitted is like searchable for the judges or the, you know, event organizers, so that they can, you know, find pairings quickly, look for certain things, like the avenues, even if it's not in there yet, the avenues of ways that they can iterate and expand on this to make the experience worth it is there. But it's the sort of thing that you only invest in if you care about the competition part and you care about the community and you care about those things. There's also a reason other card game companies don't do this, and it's because this sort of thing takes money and time and development, and those that are focused more on the profit and less on the experience of the player, right? Those who care more about, you know, hey, we run the event as like a marketing thing, whereas Flesh and Blood, I just truly believe the team at LSS runs events because that's what they want the core to, you know, game experience to be, right? Like there's a different same, you know, result, but a different reasoning, a different meaning behind it. And so this is just, again, one of those things. And so yeah, I just got to give them their flowers when they say, hey, like, hey, we care about, you know, our competitive environment. This is just another way that you prove it.
Yep. And that makes sense. Like, well, I guess just another common LSSW, right? We should be used to these by now, but we're not. The coverage thing, I hadn't thought about that aspect yet, because I know I've done coverage for different games, as far as like casting desks and such, and having to wait for deck lists and then like trying to parse through the papers while you're trying to actually talk through a game would be so much harder than just like being able to click something and then search for, you know, search the deck list. Yeah, that all sounds fantastic. And much simpler. So,
you know, just like kind of pulling the curtain behind a bit, you know, if you're somebody who is the, you know, producer of an event and you're in round 5 and you're trying to figure out what your feature match is, it's really nice if you can be like, hey, you know, High Seas just came out. Are there any Gravy Bones left undefeated? And then you could just look real quick, right? Like, that would be amazing for the production team to be able to do that quickly. And it's going to make for a better, you know, player experience as well. Because again, I do not expect that this part will be like ready to go right out of the gate, but you know, maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but like long term, again, because of the deck list being there, it would also be nice if they had a very easy way to incorporate that into on-air graphics, so that when they are showing, even if it's not before a game, maybe they show it afterwards. But if somebody just did something really cool on broadcast and then people are like, hey man, I don't, you know what they were playing or whatever, I'd love to see that. Imagine they could just throw it up, you know? Right.
Yeah. And I know Ethan is a fucking madman when it comes to producing these things. But if you could find a way to have like in top 8, as an example, a way, like an easily clickable link that's embedded in the broadcast to bring up the deck list in the panel, or, you know, in a separate window, that's incredible, right? And that's all kind of connectivity that is explorable with this.
I also, you know, again, if this gets widely adopted so that they just have it all in the system, like, I love the idea of, you know, we're a year down the road, and just because it, you know, we have certain talking points at various times in the community, it'd be nice if we were like, hey, you know, this 800 player event, you know, does not have 2,400 copies of CNC in it, right?
Right.
It might only have like 1,100. And so that means that not every deck is running the 3 copies that everyone swears you need to run. Like little things like that, where you can also just find interesting storytelling avenues throughout the day, I think are just a win in general.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And yeah, I was very excited to see it come out. They've already said that they're still working on it, but it's in a serviceable state right now. And the first events that are available to submit through GEM are Battle Hardened Jakarta and Battle Hardened Dublin, which are this weekend. So we're in the sort of thick of where London is going to shake out and what people are going to be looking to play. And that starts with 2 CC Battle Hardens this weekend. Now, I kind of wish I was at one of them, but probably not the one you think.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the one I think.
Which one do you think I want to be at?
Jakarta.
Of course. Now, why do I want to go to the one in Jakarta?
Because you want authentic cuisine and you haven't had it in a bit.
And I also want to hang out with Azure, who's going to be in Jakarta. That's the other one. So, right. But yeah, I absolutely want the cuisine too. Fuck yeah. But also, like I said, spending time with Azure.
Yeah.
So.
Whereas I wish I was at the Dublin one so that I could just never come back.
Right. So you just immigrate. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So both of these are CC. And the results of both of these are going to impact the final lists of London, because that's how things work. Yes, people have their internal testing houses and stuff like that, but these are competitive events with stakes. And I would expect, especially in Dublin, to see a lot of players that are fine-tuning the deck they plan on playing in London. And I know of a pretty big number of people who are leaving this week at some point in time. Some have already left for to go to their testing houses to spend the week preparing for, leading up to Dublin, and then playing in Dublin, and then going to the testing house in London for the week leading up to London. So I would expect these things to kind of give us the last snapshot of what this metagame is going to be. And I'm interested. I'm very interested in the way that these two things are going to look, how they're going to look different. I'm also interested if Zen manages to win one. Because if he does, he's gone. Because he's at 991. So firmly in the Briar seat at this point in time. And that would change things again, because there probably are people looking to play Zen in London. And I don't know what that pivot looks like to Syndra, maybe. Or to one of the other Mistveil heroes, but
the massive brain move is if you're playing a hero that just has a really bad matchup into Zen for Pro Tour London, you play Zen at the Battle Hardened hoping to win with him, so you don't have to worry.
Then you can just cut the cards that you put to make Zen a 30% matchup.
The best way to sideboard against Zen is to living legend him.
Yeah. It's a good sideboard strategy. Just get it the fuck out of here. That works better. But what do you think? What is going to be different in either of these Battle Hardens?
I don't know that there will be a lot different from kind of what we've been seeing leading up to it, as much as there might be a difference in representation between the two, strictly because, as you pointed out, I think Dublin is going to be a place where a lot of folks that are either already in the area and plan on playing in the London event, or people who have flown in early and they're trying to get practice for the London event. I think that that's going to be a closer representation of what to expect there. Whereas the Jakarta one, I think, will still be reflective of the meta, but not necessarily as set for a specific event like that, right? Like the timing and the geographic location of Dublin is essentially kind of making it like the prequel to Pro Tour London in my mind. So I think that Jakarta, so like of the two, I think that Jakarta is more likely to have a underdog show up, or more likely to have a tighter like rain or I guess not necessarily tighter. I guess say this the other way, right? I think that it'll have maybe a wider spread of their top 8, whereas I expect Dublin to be tight to the known what's the right word here? I was going to say the known offenders, but that makes it sound like there's, something egregious.
Epstein
and I do, or? Well, no, I think that the meta is actually in a really good spot. I do think that there are definitely decks that are stronger than others, but I still think that there is a healthy number of viable decks. So I didn't really want to say like offenders, like that there was, one or two culprits that are pushing a bunch of other stuff out, but I just expect to see, the usual faces in Dublin, right? So it's going to be, it could be any one of these, right? But like I expect the top 8 to have Auroras, maybe a Florian, maybe an Enigma. Syndra and Zen are fighting for that, like that other aggressive spot. More like that. Whereas Jakarta, if just picking something out of thin air, but like if an Azalea shows up or whatever, because somebody just, really wants to play their Azalea deck, they're a specialist and they're like, hey, I feel like I can red in the ledger, chain a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Like, let's make it happen. I'm less surprised if something like that shows up at the Jakarta event.
Sure. I mean, the Jakarta event could just be won by Dash.
It could.
That wouldn't surprise me. It also could just be won by like CYB Dory. Like, all right. Sounds great.
No, that actually sounds awful.
That does sound awful. So for anybody wondering, yes, this will be a short episode because there's not a ton to talk about and Darick's not visible. But a couple of quick notes here. So first one is the pages for most of the national championships are up and out there, including the US. Now, the interesting thing about the US one is for one, the Fabled event package is out there, and the playmat for the Fabled event package is Dead Threads, which is absolutely sick. And apparently there was a big to-do in the Dublin Discord about armpit hair. I'm not going to get into it much, but I heard about that and I was just like, that's fascinating, I guess. But this art is gas. Like, that's really where I'm going with this. This art is incredible. We don't know what the card does. Art's incredible. And then you get the cold foil rainbow art, Chart the High Seas, Golden Sky Warden, and Big Game Trophy Shot as well. So that's what the Fabled package is. But the interesting part to me is US Nats starts at 9 a.m. on Friday. That's normal. Nothing too different there. 5 rounds of CC, 3 rounds of draft, as God intended. But also at 9 a.m. on Friday is a World Championship qualifier tournament. So it is high C sealed, and first prize is a gold foil and a 2025 World Championship invitation.
You have my attention.
Correct. If I wasn't qualified for Nats, it would have my attention too. And there's only one of those over the weekend. and it is at 9 a.m. on Friday. So you dodge everybody playing in Nats to play that event. I definitely stopped and thought, well, what if I didn't play Nats? But then I remembered that I don't have to pay an entry fee to play in Nats.
And also, it's sealed. Like, I love limited.
I love sealed though.
I love sealed,
limited. I love
so
sealed.
That's not a downer for me, but I think for many it might be.
So then I went and thought to myself, if the US Nats has this, do other national championship weekends have a world championship qualifier event? So I went and looked. It turns out that Canadian nationals on what the is this is on June 20th through the 22nd of 2025 in Toronto.
Oh, Toronto. Huh?
Uh-huh. See, I knew I was going to have your attention. Has a world's qualifier on Sunday that is, and this is what it says on the page, High Seas Booster Draft. Darick. I kind of want to go. That'd be mean me driving to Detroit or to your house and picking you up and then driving us to Toronto.
Yeah, sorry, that big sigh was just me finally breathing again because what you said was breathtaking.
Yeah, and also even better is on this one, the prizes are first place is the World's Invite, the gold foil, a rainbow foil promo, and a $400 travel reimbursement.
So that's like what, airport snacks?
I mean, the plane ticket from...
Because I have to assume that when it says $400, that's the 400 loonies.
Oh, I have it set to... Let me see if it changes when I set it to Canada for the... it doesn't change. Yeah, it's probably loonies, whatever those are. Yeah. But yeah.
Now that one will obviously be filled with a bunch of people who are not still playing because that one's on Sunday. But it is also draft.
No, because Canadian Nationals starts on Saturday. So day 2 of Canadian Nationals is on Sunday.
Well, right, that's what I'm saying. The people still playing. So like if you scrub out day 1, you're for sure gonna play.
But I'm not worried about like staring down the barrel of, necessarily of like Tariq Patel or Ellie or Yuki or whoever else, that has decided to the murderers row that is Canada, Isaac, or it's a giant list.
Right, and that's my point.
Well, sure.
It's a giant list of amazing players, which means that even the people that they are pushing out of day 1 are probably going to body me.
Potentially.
That's my point.
But it's also draft, and I love drafting.
It is draft, yeah.
And it's a 2K, and we don't have to go there on Friday. We can go there on Saturday and do the 5 p.m. high seas draft.
This is being very presumptuous of us, however, because this assumes that we would be allowed to cross the border at that time.
Okay, fair. I understand what you're saying. But like we could casually leave like your place on Saturday at like 10 a.m. and get there in time to do the 5 p.m. high seas draft on Saturday and just stay a night in easy breezy Toronto and then do the thing the next day and then drive back. I mean, it'd be pretty easy. Just gonna throw that out there.
it would be pretty easy.
And yeah, like, oh, I forgot to look at that. What is my driving? Let me think here. What does it take for me to get to you?
I was gonna say, for you it's gonna be awful because it's like 5 hours from me to Toronto. I mean, depends on which part of Toronto, but
me to you roughly is 8 hours. So if I left, and I obviously crossing time zones, but it's all interstate. So if I took so yeah, if I did that to you, it'd be about 8 hours. If I left work at like noon, I could get to your house by like 9:30, 10 o'clock on Friday, or I could do it on, I'd do it on Friday, and then have plenty of time to get up.
You don't want to have to. Yeah, I was gonna say you don't want to have to do the whole.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm a fucking psychopath, but I'm not that lunatic. I'm not a lunatic. And then then we would drive to Toronto, because I'm pretty sure. What would a flight from here to would be Detroit, right? On late June. So I'd be flying out on like the Friday. Yeah, it's like $380. I can drive 8 hours for that. That's fine. But 8 hours of driving just doesn't like impact me anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a robot finally. An actual honest to God robot. Now, Mexican nationals, I got to find out where this is now and see if they have one. It's at a game store in July, on July 4th weekend. All right. Interesting. It's in Juarez. So I don't think that they have I don't see anything on there for a qualifier for Worlds though. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to do, Darick, is we're going to just go ahead and go and play in the Nats qualifier in Toronto, or the Worlds qualifier in Toronto. But you can also play in the one in Vegas.
So it's like 4.5 hours, but for just over $50, we could take a train from Windsor to Toronto.
Where's Windsor?
That's the like for city right when you cross the border from Detroit to Canada.
Why wouldn't we just drive into Toronto at that point?
Because it's fun to ride a train.
You just want to ride a train.
Look, as somebody who, like, I understand that you would be driving, but as somebody who is usually driving averse for long distances so I don't die, I always check the trains just to be safe, okay?
Okay, no, that's fine. I understand completely. But, I mean, it's pretty easy for me to drive it. I've driven in Canada before, for God's sakes.
I mean, so have I.
Recently for you, as a matter of fact. Well, we only have one listener question, so let's get into it. All right. This one's from Mr. Chips, which is a fantastic name. I heard an interesting take from the Runaways podcast that made me think of something. What are your thoughts on heroes that had detrimental hero powers but otherwise were exceptionally powerful? Now, he had some examples within the question. For instance, attacks you have get +2 and go again, but playing more than 2 attack actions per turn reduces your intellect by 1. Or like rune blades, where your rune chants deal 2 damage, but if you exceed 3 rune chants, they just are destroyed. So sort of capped benefits that have artificially high ceilings.
My initial knee-jerk reaction, obviously, like all things, the caveat is like would require testing, blah, blah, blah. But my initial knee-jerk reaction is it still needs to be a stronger detriment. And my argument is going to be that you can take a look at Ira, for example.
Right.
Who just already has like a benefit with a cap built in that you only get it once and it's only on the second. And that by itself was still so strong that they had to wait many years before they could print the adult version. So like that first example where they were like, your attacks get +2 and go again, but after 2 you lose an intellect. It's like, okay, well then all that means is now I'm playing Slippy for just me with a +2 attack, and then I'll just never play the second attack or whatever.
Or I'll wait a turn, until it's the kill turn where I have a 4-card 24.
Right. But I mean, even outside of that, right? Like the reason I think of Ira immediately is because that is to me like the best example of something that, it was low effort and it seems pretty benign. It's just +1. But the fact that you get it consistently every turn, and because Flesh and Blood is a game of inches, not miles, and because breakpoints are so important to the way that you navigate the game, you have to be very careful with stuff like that. Yep. There's a reason that, even stuff like Visceri turns on, on the second thing you play, and why Florian and Verdance require hoops you jump through before you get their bonuses, and why other hero powers oftentimes have an activation cost, right? Like Bravo, you're pitching 2 resources to get his dominate sort of thing. Like if you're going to give a benefit above and beyond what the other ones get, then the drawback also has to be pretty steep, or else people will game it very quickly. Yeah,
that's 100% too. True. You'd have to do something obscene, like, your weapons you control have go again. Your second weapon attack each turn costs 2 more to activate. Something like that, And even then, Jesus, you could probably still abuse the shit out of that. But it would be harder, at least, at that point in time. It's really difficult. I think the closest they've come to something like that is, they really haven't come close to that, right? Like Data Doll having small intellect, but can play, one smaller intellect, but can play shit off the top of their, or like, they get items when you banish them, like, so has a sort of card draw built into it. That's, I guess, somewhat, but Rune Chance being +1 damage when a lot of these, are just like, Grasp of the Arknight is the only time we're generating a Rune Chant here.
Yeah, maybe like, you said Data Doll, but like even maybe -IO kind of counts, right?
Sort
of. I say that kind of just because like, it's extending your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once per turn or whatever, but you do have to pay the 1 more. So like that's, kind of the drawback built into you having
and lower life,
a hand size 1 higher. Right. But that's kind of my point. In order to even make that work, it had to be lower life. You have to pay a resource, and it's not just any card. It has to be a specific kind of card. It had a build around requirement.
Right.
And all of that is required to get her where she is. So
yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I immediately thought about Ira, and I was like, it does not take much for people to game free bonuses.
Right. It doesn't take much at all. Just throwing that out there. But I think that's our show there. You're going to thank some patrons? That sounds like a good idea, right?
Yeah, we should do that.
Okay, let's do that. Let's thank our associate producers. We have Aladoris, Andy, Sindra, Jacob, Larry, Quiet Goat, Salty Sea Cat, and Zaris. In our executive producers on up, we have Blaze Torb, value member of the Patreon, Diana Lance, Good Thrust, Micaiah, Puxanus, Vintox, Non-Bow, Riptide Enthusiast. It's a lot to say. Philip, and then we go into the Chamber of Charcoal with Brandon. He is approaching the chamber goal. Matt, our first chamber participant in the elimination chamber, Michael, the Jackal, Papa Jackal, you're up, buddy. As soon as you want to do it, you just let us know. More than happy to get you on. Oren and Polish Guy Rich. That'll be a fun one when he gets there. Holy shit. If you want to become a member of the Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/fleshandpod. Link is in the show notes. Pick a tier that is a paid tier and you get into FAP After Dark, which is our live shows that we do pseudo monthly. I try to do the best I can, but finding time is hard. However, we do have one coming up on Thursday, which I believe is April 3rd, at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, so 9:30 Eastern. Yeah, we'll just hop on, and I have the new playbat to show off. It is here in my possession, and yeah, so it should be a very good time. So anybody that's a paid patron is more than welcome to hop in the channel when we light it up, and to come talk shit for a while. It's a good time. If you need to contact the show, you can send us an email at fleshandpod@gmail.com. You can find us on BlueSky, just search fleshandpod. The easiest thing for anybody to do is just to join our Discord. Links in the show notes. Easy. Click on it. Don't have to be a member of anything. Don't have to pay any money. You can just join. And join the legions of fappers talking about fucking everything at this point. I keep adding channels because people can keep asking for them. So in the off-topic channels, we have Sports and Gambling, Pet Picks, Cooking with Reinar, Brews with Bravo, Grooves with Genus, Kierkegaard Corner, which is... it's a dark place. Pickle Posse, a Netrunner channel, a Films channel, a Books channel, a Marvel Snap channel, one for just other games in general, a Gen Con channel, a Comics channel, a Dad Jokes channel, and a Warhammer channel. So if any of those things interest you outside of Flesh and Blood, they're all in that fucking pile of donkey shit that is the off-topic threads. Actually, I love some of those, so I shouldn't insult them so much. Mainly the Brews channel and the Kierkegaard's Corner, because we all need a little bit of existential dread in our lives at this point.
No, we don't.
We
have
don't?
plenty.
Well, that's true. We probably don't need to add to the pile. But Darick, where can they find you?
In the Pickle Posse channel.
Yeah, you're in there a lot.
Yeah, I posted some great stuff over the weekend.
Spicy hot chicken pickle pizza.
Yep.
That Blaze. Is that Blaze Pizza I see?
That is Blaze Pizza. Yep.
Little 420 pizza. A lucky yodeling Christmas pickle ornament. What the fuck is this?
That's why I mentioned it. I needed you to see that.
Great for catching snoops. Like, I just thought of Snoop immediately, and I'm like, wow, it kind of looks like a blunt.
I was like, it's great for catching Snoop.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Motion activated yodeling sound. Oh, fuck my life. That seems awful. But a lot of it is just us taunting Elaine with, the different pickle flavored stuff that we can seemingly get a hold of and she can't. And I'm still really fucked up. Like that the pickle hair clip is still so weird to me. But yeah, that Charmer's definitely in the Pickle Posse channel. He's also the Lord and Savior of the Dad Jokes channel. Oh my god, I clicked in that channel. I just never should have done that.
No, you shouldn't have.
I had a dream I was floating on an ocean of orange soda. Well, it's more of a Fanta sea. I fucking hate everything. That is so bad. Oh my god. Now, the Goat Warrior cultist with the crane calling somebody and saying, I love your accent. Where are you from? Ukraine. What the fuck? How'd you know? Okay, that's actually funny. Oh my god. Okay. A 40-week bodybuilding program. It's a curl waist. Oh, Jesus. I can't read any of these things. I'm making my fucking eyes bleed. That's not okay.
Yeah, love you too.
I mute that channel for a reason. I just can't deal with it.
Because you hate fun.
No, it's because they're so cringy, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bad.
Uh-huh.
That's a bug. That's not a feature.
You're not saying anything that is deterring me, sir.
I realize that there is nothing I can say to you that is a deterrent. I understand that. And I've accepted that is part and parcel, with our friendship. But that doesn't mean I have to look at that fucking channel.
I am cringe, but I am free.
Are you though?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure.
People aren't paying for this, so
yeah. Hashtag no free ads, I guess. All right. Well, that's our show for this week. Yeah, join us next week. We'll have battle hardened Dublin and Jakarta to talk about. Plus, obviously our predictions heading into London. And it's my last show before heading to London. So yeah, it'll be a good time. I might even find a guest. Who the fuck knows? I probably will find a guest. That seems like a good idea. If anybody has any suggestions for guests, just hop in the Discord into the FAP feedback channel and let me know who you want. And I'll go get them. Or I'll do my best to go get them. All right. Well, that's our show for this week, everybody. On 175 next week. I guess let's fucking go, right? But until then, bye.